Financial upheavals are a normal part of life, and many of us are going through some financial upheaval right now because of what is going on in the economy and in the world as a result of COVID-19. So today we're going to be sharing some lessons learned to help you improve your money plan during this time.
Hi, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Tasha with One Big Happy Life, and we help you find balance, build wealth, and live happy. Everything that you need to create the life that you want.
Last week, we posted asking for your questions, and we got a lot of responses. And today's video is actually answering one of the great questions that we got from Carol. And Carol asks, what have you learned from the COVID-19 pandemic from a financial perspective?
Now, Carol, this is a great question. And the first thing that we wanted to say, just kind of to kick it off, is that when Joseph and I talk about personal finance, we talk about it from the perspective of people who have spent a combined decades working in the finance industry. So this is not the first economic downturn that we've experienced while we have had this finance experience and working in the finance industry, because remember, the last economic downturn was in 2008. And during that time, we were both already experienced financial professionals. So this is not the first time that we've experienced a downturn. It's just the first time that we've experienced a pandemic. Like, this is new.
Yeah, I think the thing that makes this so unique is more the emotions and the lifestyle changes that go along with it, because a little bit of a recession is nothing new to the world economy. And so I think that's really the thing that makes this so unique. But we're going to cover the financial perspective of it because that's still important too.
And just to start off, we also want to say that the things that we have been teaching you here at One Big Happy Life over the past 3 years, all of those financial principles still apply right now. And honestly, if you watched every single one of our videos and you implemented every single thing that we've been teaching you about, then you would be in a phenomenal financial position right now, because it's all about building wealth, but also building your financial stability. So making financial decisions that help you do well when things are going well, but you also have financial plans that can cover you when things aren't going as well. For example, like having an emergency fund. So let's get into some specific points, specific takeaways and financial lessons that we would love for you guys to focus on both now and when things go back to the new normal.
Number one, like Tasha just said, it is crucial to have a financial plan with clear financial goals, milestones, and contingency plans. A lot of people think that because they're making their bill payments and they're not losing money every month, that they're good. And so they're kind of winging their finances. But now that's going to come to light that is not good enough. You absolutely need a plan to be following so that you're constantly improving your finances, so that when things like this come up, it doesn't just completely wreck whatever you thought you were working towards.
Not to mention that when you have a clear money plan with specific goals and milestones that you want to hit, then that can help push away the fear and anxiety that can come up in times like these, because you're not in a state of confusion or darkness about, well, I don't know what's going on with my finances and I don't know if I can get back on track because I don't know where I'm going. You know that you know where you're going, so you could really just sit down with your numbers and say, okay, this is where I wanted to be. This is where I am. Where's the gap? And what can I do to cross that bridge from where I am now to where I expected to be? And that's a really empowered place to be, and and it makes sure that you will actually hit your financial goals and take away all of that doubt and anxiety.
And contingency plans are really, really going to help with that right now, because if you didn't know what you were going to do before, then that's going to be where you're lost. But right now it's like, well, okay, look forward and think, well, what happens if I lose 15% of my income? What's the first decision that I'm going to make? What happens if my expenses go up? What are my first decisions that I'm going to make? And knowing those in advance, at least roughly, at the very least, is going to let you have confidence that you're going to be able to handle things because you already kind of worked through it in your mind.
Tip number 2, have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Now, we recently did a video about this where we talked about the fact that $1,000 is not enough for an emergency fund. And we have always said this. And so go watch that video if you haven't for details on why that's not enough. But just suffice to say that we have always advised a 3 to 6 month emergency fund before you pay off your debt, because you need that emergency fund to be sure that you can continue to support yourself no matter what life throws at you. And every single year we have set financial goals. You can go back and look at our financial goal setting videos, and you'll notice that every single year we always have a goal of adding 2 months to our emergency fund, with the ultimate goal of getting it to a 12-month emergency fund. A 12-month emergency fund can get you through most things, okay? And so again, like I said earlier, if you have been following along, setting your financial goals, setting the milestones along with us, and building your emergency fund right now, even if you lost your job, you would be in a solid position, because you could take advantage of unemployment insurance, which could then stretch out how long your emergency fund lasted. But it just gives you that breathing room so that you're not automatically in a batten down the hatches panic mode because you have no options. So your emergency fund is all about giving you options when things happen in the world that are out of your control.
Number 3, it is wonderful when you have multiple streams of income, because that spreads your reliance on your income across, different fields, different employers perhaps, and that can really be great, because then if one employer goes down, you have other income, and so it's not catastrophic if you lose one source of income. And I mean, this doesn't have to be like multiple jobs. It could be a side hustle that brings in a little bit of money. I mean, it could just be some hobby, like a little hobby that makes just some extra cash that can really be crucial in you hitting those financial goals that you have, and also giving you that cash in case you do have a job loss or those expenses increase.
And just to be clear, yes, lots of people have lost their jobs, but companies are still hiring. Companies are still, looking for the right people. Our company just hired 3 people, really 5 people, if you count our 2 copywriting contractors, in the past week. Okay, so they're not full time. So these are people that are either side hustling or they have their own business where they're offering services to multiple companies. But the point is that you can pick up a side hustle even now, even in the midst of an economic downturn, because there are plenty of companies out there that are still doing well and bringing people on.
Number 4, debt is negotiable. Now, we've talked about this before, and we're just going to say it again. Your debts can be flexible, and you're seeing that in the news right now as, mortgages are being paused, student loans are being paused. Lots of this stuff, the banks don't want to see you fail. They don't want that either. The government doesn't want to see you fail. And so when these kinds of things are going on, they're looking to get workarounds that let you still make payments, still be able to do what you need to pay off the debts, but also where they're not trying to foreclose aggressively, because we're all in this together, and they don't want those bad results any more than you do. And that's why banks, they're looking to help.
And so if you guys don't know, I have spent years working as a banking and consumer finance attorney. So that I've worked for banks, I've regulated banks. And so I know banks and consumer financial products and the laws around it inside and out, which is why from the very beginning, we have always pushed against this idea that when you have debt, you don't have options. Wherever you're hearing that from, whoever told you that, it is just completely untrue. There are so many options, and every single company out there has a loss mitigation department. And every financial institution has a loss mitigation, a workout department whose sole goal is to help people who are having difficulty meeting their financial obligations come up with a payment plan that allows them to get back on track. They all have one. It's just that most people don't realize that those options exist, but they've always been there and they will always be there. It's just now, because of the pandemic, it's at the forefront, and financial institutions are proactively letting people know that these options are available. But I promise you, they always were available. So understanding that your debt is negotiable is important, because we want you to know that you have options, and we want to make sure that you are not over prioritizing debt payoff at the expense of your overall financial stability, because debt is negotiable, but food and being able to buy food is not negotiable.
Now, while these institutions are being more proactive right now, it's still important to remember that they might not opt you into any kind of workouts. So you're still going to have to take some action to then say, yes, I want that, or ask them, what options do I have? So they might be advertising it, but you're still going to have to say, yes, I want it.
All right, number 5, and this ties in really well to the tip number 4 that we just shared, which is that it is more important to build your financial stability than it is to become debt-free. Because, as we said, debt is negotiable, but financial stability will help you get through a financial crisis with minimal stress and anxiety. Now, paying off debt can be one of the tools in your financial toolkit to help you build your financial stability, but you have many other options. And we've also talked about this before, which is that having an emergency fund to support you, to make sure that you have cash flow coming in if you lose your income source, is the best way to build your financial stability. Now, I know that some people will pop on here and they will say, well, oh my gosh, because I'm debt-free, I have so much peace of mind right now. And I'm going to say that that is not true, because if you were debt-free, but you had no income coming in, you would be incredibly stressed. If you didn't know how you were going to pay your living expenses because you don't have an emergency fund, you would be stressed. You would not feel like you have peace of mind. But conversely, if you do have debt, but you have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, you're not going to be stressed either. You're not going to be stressed because you know that you've lost your income, but you've got a solid safety net and you've got some invaluable time to get yourself back on track. And I've also seen on social media many people, including Erin Lowry of Broke Millennial, who has, because of what's going on now in the world, recognizes that $1,000 is not enough for an emergency fund. And so she's putting that information out there too. And people who have lost their jobs and are only sitting with $1,000, and they've realized that they've put $15,000, $20,000 towards debt that they could be using right now to support themselves, those people are regretting that. So don't put yourself in that position.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that a lot of times when recessions happen, there's a credit crunch. And so banks, credit cards, other lending institutions are not putting that credit out there, meaning they're not extending new lines of credit, or they're not giving as many loans. And so if your plan was, oh, well, I'll just use my credit cards, that option might not be there. And so if you don't have the cash, you might not have any options.
Tip number 6. You really want to be flexible with your money plan. Putting together a money plan, a budget, a spending plan, it's not a one and done kind of thing. It's not like a slow cooker where you just throw everything in the slow cooker and you walk away for 8 hours and you come back and it's magic. No, it's more like driving. You plot the course in your GPS, you hop in your car, and then you've actually have to get yourself to the destination. Now, maybe you're going to be mostly driving on a highway where you're just making little tweaks and you're glancing out your mirror, but really you're singing along to your song. And so you can focus on other things while you're driving. But it might be that things like what's happening in the world right now happen, and you've got to take a major right turn and then another right turn to get back to where you want to go. So just get into the habit of looking at your financial plan, reevaluating it, tweaking it as necessary, and just being comfortable with that, because the more you do it, the faster you get at it, and then it just becomes second nature.
And last, you also need to be flexible with your life plans. So just like Tasha was saying with your financial plans, it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing. you need to be looking for, those things that make you happy in life, and, things that you really care about, and shape your financial plan to be supporting those life goals that you have. And, keep an open mind for things like switching jobs or moving locations. A lot of people, have hesitancy to say, oh yeah, I can go get a different job, or I can move clear across the country. But a lot of times, for at least, especially in our case, that has been some of the best decisions that we've made, and has been the reason that we've been able to increase our income so much. And so I would say, be flexible with those kinds of life decisions, because they can be really helpful in you hitting those longer term goals.
And especially given now what's going on, so many of our lives have been affected. We've completely changed, many of us, the way that we live. Really, this is a perfect time to really reevaluate the habits, the life habits that you had fallen into before all of this happened, and see which things you really miss, which things you can't wait to get back to, and maybe what other adjustments you can make in your life. Because this is a perfect example of just how quickly we can change just about everything about the way that we live, and life still goes on, and we're still able to thrive. So we hope this video was helpful to you. Drop us your comments down below, because we would love to hear your thoughts on lessons that you've learned during this unusual time. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for our April financial update. It'll be really interesting. I don't know what it looks like. I mean, we haven't done the numbers yet.
Yeah. Thanks, Carol, for a great question. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.